The Celtics and Mavericks tip off game one of the NBA Finals tonight at TD Garden. So let's get some clutch points from Brett Siegel, NBA insider and reporter for ClutchPoints. Brett, you see what I did there? Wordsmith right there. Little Drake in me, huh?
It's yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's just a fantastic time of the year with the NBA Finals here, and obviously there's going to be plenty of clutch moments, so you might as well go to ClutchPoints, right?
All right, here we go. I got to get your clutch thoughts, especially on game one. What are you looking for tonight, and what are you looking at the most when you're looking at this game? And which team would you say has the most pressure to take game one?
It's interesting that you mentioned that because my mind this entire series, and we'll even back up a little bit, everybody's been talking about, oh, it's Luka Doncic versus Jason Tatum. Can the Celtics finally break through? Or is this going to be Luka's rise to the moment? Will he become one of the best international players in the NBA? To me, I think that this series is going to be dictated based on how the first 5 minutes of every single game goes. Who's going to come out and really establish the pace of play? Will it be the Celtics with their high-powered offense, or is it going to be the Mavericks who have kind of had a nonchalant approach on offense where they bring the ball up the floor, they play in the half court, and they take what the defense gives them? Obviously, they've been having a lot of success with that in the Western Conference, taking down some of the best and just dethroning the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are one of the best defensive teams in the league. But now they face a completely different monster in the Celtics, who are not only one of the best defensive teams in the league, but they've been a historic offensive team as well. So that's really what I'm looking for heading into this series of who's going to take advantage of the moment, who's really going to set the pace of play, because I think that's going to pay dividends come time for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we know all about the Lukas, the Kyries, the JTs, the JBs. So who are your biggest X factors for both teams in this series? Like, who's the guys that nobody's talking about on First Take or Undisputed that could really do some work in the finals?
Well, I think it goes to the front court for both teams. And you look at the Mavericks, I think it goes right to Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. The success that those two have had throughout the entire postseason, they've been one of the best front court tandems in the league, and they've completely flown under the radar. Nobody really wants to give them the flowers that they deserve, even though Gafford was one of the best trade deadline pickups right next to PJ Washington for this team. And then Lively, he's a rookie, and he's not playing like a rookie whatsoever. He's looking like a multi-year veteran, especially in those pick and roll situations with the chemistry that he has with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. That's nothing new for this team. When Lively plays, they've been one of the most successful teams in the league. This year, when he was out due to injury, they took a step back and they were not as good in those pick and roll situations. So it goes to show how much of an impact the rookie has had for them. And then over on the Celtics side of things, obviously you got to have great games from the backcourt. You have to have Derek White and Drew Holiday really step up, especially when the Mavericks focus in on guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. But for me, the X factor is the guy that hasn't been there, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. He's completely changed the way that the Celtics play offense. He gives them that 3-and-D mentality where he can play pick and pop basketball on offense, step out on the perimeter and hit clutch three-pointers, and on defense, he's a guy that can block virtually any shot. He's gonna cause offenses to scramble and kick the ball out when they could have gotten easy layups, and he just affects the game defensively in that way. So I think that he's the ultimate X factor. It's going to be really interesting to see how healthy he looks, given that he hasn't played since that first round series against the Miami Heat. Porzingis said that he's healthy during media day, so we're just going to have to trust him and see how he looks in game one.
Yeah, I'm wondering what his lungs are going to be like, because when I go out to like a YMCA and try and hoop, I'm ready to cough up a lung. But it's crazy how deep the Celtics are to where Porzingis cannot play since the first series, and they just run through the East the way that they did. All right, Brett, we've talked stars, X factors. Let's move on to coaching, because coaching is going to be huge in the finals. We got Jason Kidd versus Joe Mazzulla. Who's winning the coaching battle in this matchup?
Well, you have to look at Joe Mazzulla and give him props for the job that he's done. Obviously, he inherited a great roster, and Brad Stevens has taken him under his wing as well and put together a great roster, and he's helped him out in his early coaching journey. But you look at the transition that they made from Ime Udoka to Joe Mazzulla, and there was really no drop-off there. And you have to give Mazzulla a ton of credit for the job that he's done to keep this team on track mentally. Not just the schemes and the offensive playbooks and whatnot, but just to keep them locked in with everything this team has been through over the years. I think that Mazzulla deserves his props for that. But on the other side of things, Jason Kidd has really proven his ability to be a head coach in this league. Obviously, he had those hiccups early on in his career with the Milwaukee Bucks. He went on to be an assistant and now got the head coaching job with the Mavericks. And I think that when you look at it from the Mavericks front office point of view, this is a home run hire. They made the best choice possible when they brought in Jason Kidd. He's really gelled with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And we've seen the advancements that this group has made defensively. I think that that's been one of the most underrated storylines of the entire playoffs is nobody wants to talk about the Mavericks as being this powerhouse defensive team. Yet Jason Kidd has Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, two guys who aren't known for their defensive abilities, playing at an insanely high level and really setting the stage for what the rest of this team can achieve. I think that that's a direct reflection on Jason Kidd and the perseverance he showed when he was a player in this league. And that's obviously rubbed off on him being a head coach for the Mavericks. So in terms of who has the upper hand, I'm going to give it slightly to Joe Mazzulla just because of all the success that they have had this season in Boston. But I mean, Jason Kidd has gotten the most out of this team. I would not be shocked if he's the one at the end of the series holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yeah, I've got all the respect in the world for Jason Kidd and his journey. I kind of hope that Steve Nash kind of follows that same path where you didn't have success in your first stop being a Hall of Fame player, but you don't have success within your first stop as a coach, and then you move on somewhere else. Hope Steve Nash gets a job like that and can do some of the great things that Jason Kidd has done. All right, man, let's wrap this thing up. Give us some clutch points and final thoughts on the NBA Finals.
Well, it's going to come down to a few things for me. Obviously, that rebounding battle down low. I think Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford really have to step up for the Mavericks once again. They have to find a way to keep Porzingis off the board, keep Jason Tatum off the boards, because Tatum has been fantastic in this series. From the Celtics' point of view, it's going to come down to what does their defense look like? How are they going to guard Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic? Because they really haven't faced a backcourt like this yet, where you got two dynamic closers, two guys that can easily go for 30 or 40 points, maybe even more on any given night. And obviously Kyrie Irving, his history and his legacy in this league has been cemented through the NBA playoffs. Time and time again, he stepped up in big moments. And obviously everybody's mind go back to 2016, where he hit that huge three-pointer against the Warriors when he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers and helped the Cavaliers and LeBron James win the NBA Finals that season. So I think that if you're the Celtics, it's going to come down to, you're obviously not going to be able to stop those two, but how are you going to contain them? Are you going to double them off of pick-and-roll sets, force the ball into other guys' hands? Will P.J. Washington be the guy to hit big shots for the Mavericks? Will they look to lob it to Gafford and Lively? I think those are the decisions that Joe Mazzulla and his coaching staff want the Mavericks to make, because they don't want Luka Doncic. They don't want Kyrie Irving beating them one-on-one. That's a recipe for disaster. So obviously those two things play a factor. And then, like I mentioned, how are these teams going to come out and fight in the early minutes of the game? It's going to be hostile environments in both Dallas and Boston. Can the Mavericks put all that noise away? Can Kyrie Irving kind of silence the crowd? Because he's public enemy number one in this series. The Boston crowd is going to hate him. They're going to be throwing words at him the entire series. Will they be able to set the tone early on? Because the Celtics haven't necessarily been the best home court team in the playoffs. They were during the regular season, but I believe it's been 3 or 4 years where they've just struggled to win back-to-back home games when they've had home court advantage. I think that's going to play into the Mavericks' hand, especially because Dallas is 7-2 on the road in these playoffs, and we can't overlook that. We absolutely have to give them credit for winning those games. Now you go to TD Garden, the biggest stage in the NBA. I think Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are ready for the moment.
Sage the garden, Kyrie, and then burn it down. All right, Brett, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find all my work on ClutchPoints. You can follow me on Twitter at Brett Siegel NBA. And we were just talking about it. The NBA Finals are here, but tons of stuff going on afterwards. We have free agency. We have the NBA draft coming up. You can find all my mock drafts and big boards and draft coverage on ClutchPoints. And then right after that, right after free agency, we have the best time of the year where everybody goes to Vegas and we can see each other in Summer League and figure out who's going to be on the trade block this year, because last year was crazy with Damian Lillard and Pascal Siakam. Now we'll get to see who it's going to be this season, because there's going to be a lot to movement this offseason. I'll just say that.
I heard Vegas and my ears lit up. Brett, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.